The birthday that changed everything. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to cut ties with my own family, especially not over something as simple as a birthday. But here I am, 3 weeks away from turning 28, planning a celebration that's equal parts indulgence and reckoning. This time, I'm not waiting around for another year of being overlooked. For years, I convinced myself that maybe I was just imagining things. Maybe I was being too sensitive. But the truth has been staring me in the face my entire life. Growing up, I was the invisible child. My older brother, Alex, was the golden boy, the prodigy, the future heart surgeon, the pride of the family. My younger sister, Sophia, was the cherished baby, adored and pampered. And then there was me, Ethan, the middle child, the afterthought. Birthdays made this painfully clear. For Alex's birthdays, my parents went all out, extravagant parties, guest lists that rivaled wedding receptions, themed decorations, live entertainment. When Sophia turned 16, they transformed our backyard into a festival, complete with a live band and a professional photographer. But my birthdays? Nothing. I'll never forget my 8th birthday. We were at the dinner table and my family was talking about Alex's soccer game like it was any other night. 2 weeks earlier they had thrown him a superhero-themed birthday bash. Magicians. Costumes. Party favors more expensive than any gift I had ever received. The entire neighborhood was there. And my birthday? Completely ignored. When I finally worked up the courage to ask if they had forgotten, my mother barely glanced up from her phone. "Oh, sorry, honey. We've just been so busy with Alex's tournament and Sophia's dance recital. We'll make it up to you next year." They never did. That pattern followed me my entire life. When I graduated high school as valedictorian and got into one of the top engineering programs in the country, my father didn't even look up from his phone when I told him. My mother's response? "Well, engineering was your backup since you didn't try for medical school like Alex." But when Alex got into med school, they threw him a party that looked like an engagement celebration, complete with caterers, decorations, and a banner that read, "Future Dr. Alexander." Even when I made breakthroughs in my career, achievements that could literally save lives, my family couldn't be bothered. I work as a medical device development engineer, and for the past 2 years, I've been leading a team designing a groundbreaking cardiac monitoring system. It can detect heart irregularities hours before a major incident, potentially saving thousands of lives. Our work has been published in top medical journals, and we just won a prestigious innovation award. At the award ceremony, my colleagues' families were there, celebrating, taking pictures, beaming with pride. My parents? They didn't even reply to the invitation. A week later, during our family video call, I tried to share the news. My mom interrupted mid-sentence to ask Alex about his surgery schedule. Then they spent 20 minutes admiring Sophia's Instagram beach pictures. When I tried to bring it up again, my father muttered, "That's nice, son," before changing the subject to Alex's upcoming promotion. I had spent years making excuses for them, telling myself I didn't need their validation. But deep down, every dismissal, every ignored accomplishment, every forgotten birthday had chipped away at me. And then something happened that finally pushed me over the edge. Last month, I had dinner with my girlfriend, Stephanie, and her family. Her mom remembered my birthday from a casual conversation months earlier. She baked my favorite cake and got me a thoughtful gift related to my work. It was such a simple gesture, but it hit me hard. This is what love looks like. This is what family should feel like. That night, I made a decision. For my 28th birthday, I was going to celebrate me, the way I deserved to be celebrated. I booked a luxury cruise. Not just any cruise, a high-end, all-inclusive experience with a private suite, gourmet dining, spa treatments, and exclusive shore excursions. I invited everyone who had genuinely supported me over the years. Aunts, uncles, cousins, close friends. 50 people in total. My immediate family? Not invited. And that's not all. At the grand birthday dinner, I have something special planned. A slideshow. Not just any slideshow. It's a collection of every forgotten moment, every dismissed achievement, every birthday they ignored. Side by side with the extravagant celebrations they threw for Alex and Sophia. Is it petty? Maybe. But for once in my life, I'm not waiting for them to acknowledge me. This time I'm making damn sure they see me. I knew there would be backlash. I just didn't expect it to explode this fast. Ever since my family found out about the cruise, and more importantly their absence from it, my phone has been in a constant state of war. My mother's voicemails swing between guilt-tripping and outright threats. "How could you do this to your own mother after everything we've sacrificed for you? You'll regret this, young man." My father, as always, took the passive-aggressive route. A single text. So this is how you repay us? Tearing the family apart for attention. Alex called me childish and smugly told me to grow up and accept that some people just achieve more in life. Sophia posted a cryptic, not-so-subtle Instagram story about toxic siblings who can't handle other people's success. But I expected this. What I didn't expect was the overwhelming wave of support from the people who actually matter. Stephanie has been incredible through it all. She helped me plan every detail of the cruise, from the gourmet meals to the decorations. She reminded me that this wasn't about revenge, it was about standing up for myself. You're not just celebrating a birthday, she told me. You're taking back your narrative. My best friend from college said something that stuck with me. Sometimes, it takes a drastic act to break a destructive cycle. You've tried talking to them quietly for years. Maybe this time they'll actually listen. The cruise is booked. The invitations have been sent. There's no going back now. And here's the real shocker. Almost everyone is coming. Many of my extended family members are split between wanting to support me and worrying about what this means for their relationship with my parents. But most of them have made their choice. And for the first time, that choice is me. I even created a special Instagram hashtag for the event, posting small teasers leading up to the celebration. My mother saw them despite being blocked, because of course she made a fake account. She called my aunt in tears, claiming I was publicly humiliating the family. I had to laugh at the irony. The same woman who ignored my birthdays for years was now outraged that I was celebrating one without her. I know some people will think I'm taking things too far. Maybe I should have just walked away quietly. Maybe I should have cut contact without making a statement. But after 28 years of being invisible, of watching my siblings be worshipped while I was an afterthought, I needed to do this. Not just for me. For every middle child who has ever been ignored. The fallout. 2 weeks later, the cruise set sail. And it was perfect. Almost everyone who RSVP'd actually showed up, about 45 people in total, including most of my extended family and close friends. The energy was incredible, not just because we were on a luxury cruise, but because, for the first time, I was at the center of it all. Then came the slideshow. During the welcome dinner, I stood in the ship's premium restaurant and played the presentation I had put together. The room fell completely silent. Photo after photo appeared on the screen, empty chairs at my childhood birthday dinners, compared to the extravagant celebrations for Alex and Sophia. My academic achievements dismissed, next to the grand gestures my siblings received for far less. And then, something I didn't expect happened. My Aunt Carol burst into tears halfway through. I never realized how bad it was, she whispered. More relatives started speaking up. We always knew there was favoritism, but seeing it laid out like this. I can't believe we never said anything. Then I played the segment about my medical device project, showcasing the work that had been ignored by my own parents. My uncle Robert, who works in hospital administration, came up to me afterward, asking how he could help get the technology into his facility. It was surreal. My accomplishments had always been worthy of recognition, but now that people outside my immediate family were validating them, suddenly they mattered. And just when I thought things couldn't get any more dramatic, my mother boarded the ship. Somehow, she convinced the cruise line to let her on during our first port stop. She told them she was a surprise guest for the birthday celebration and showed them photos of me as proof that she was my mother. Security let her through. She stormed into our lunch gathering, mascara running down her face, and launched into a full-blown meltdown. How could you do this to me? To us? After everything we've done for you? Stephanie tried to intervene, but my mother turned on her instead. I see what's happening. You're poisoning my son against his family. And then, something I really didn't expect. My Aunt Margaret, normally quiet, never one for confrontation, stood up. And she let my mother have it. Helen, stop. We've all watched you favor Alex and Sophia for years. We didn't speak up because we didn't want to get involved. But enough is enough. One by one, other relatives joined in. He's not wrong, Helen. We all saw it, we just didn't say anything. My mother left in tears. But the drama didn't end there. That night, Alex and Sophia launched a full social media attack. They posted childhood pictures with captions like, "Some siblings just can't handle others' success," and "Ungrateful people love playing the victim." But it backfired. People started commenting, relatives, old family friends, even distant acquaintances, saying they had seen how I was treated differently growing up. The post turned into a public reckoning my siblings hadn't anticipated. And then, the most unexpected thing happened. Without my parents around, I got to experience something I never had before. Real family support. My cousins opened up about their own experiences with favoritism. My Uncle James, who I had always assumed was distant, admitted he had been following my career in business publications and was genuinely proud of me. It was eye-opening. For the first time, I felt like I had a family. When we got back, I had over 30 missed calls from my parents, and a long email from my father. For the first time, he acknowledged the favoritism. But instead of apologizing, he excused it. We focused more on Alex because he was following the family's medical tradition, and Sophia needed extra support. But you were always independent. We thought you didn't need the attention. It wasn't an apology. It was a justification. And then, just yesterday, my mother showed up at my office. She caused a scene in the lobby, crying to the security guard about how I was destroying the family. And now I have a choice to make. Do I open the door and let her back in? Or do I finally let go for good? My mother's outburst at my office caused more of a stir than she probably intended. Colleagues who had only known me in a professional setting suddenly got a front-row seat to my family's dysfunction. After security escorted her out, my supervisor called me into his office, not to reprimand me but to check in. And then, to my surprise, he shared something personal. "I know what it's like to break free from a toxic family," he said. "It's never easy. But you did the right thing." I hadn't expected that level of understanding, least of all from my boss. But it was a reminder that I wasn't alone. Stephanie's family has also been incredible through all of this. Her parents invited me over for dinner last night, and at one point her father set down his glass of wine and looked me straight in the eye. "You know," he said, "I wish I'd had the courage to call out favoritism in my own family when I was younger. Maybe things would have turned out differently." Then he reached across the table, resting a hand on my shoulder. "You're part of this family now, and don't ever forget that." I had to swallow down the lump in my throat. For so long, I had fought for scraps of attention from my own parents. And here was this man, who had no obligation to me whatsoever, offering me something they never had, unconditional support. But the most unexpected response? It came from my younger relatives. Several of my cousins reached out, telling me that watching me stand up for myself gave them the confidence to confront similar issues in their own families. My cousin Jenny even used our story as part of her psychology class presentation on family systems and favoritism. I hadn't just done this for myself. I had started something bigger. Moving forward, I've made my decision. I'm not cutting my family off entirely, but I am enforcing boundaries. I've blocked my siblings on social media. I've set up email filters for my parents. And my new rule is simple. I will only engage with family members who respect me. No more begging for recognition. No more fighting to be seen. For the first time in my life, I'm putting myself first. And it feels incredible. During a recent weekend trip to showcase our medical device at a healthcare conference, Stephanie remained my steady anchor through all the family chaos. She's been my greatest source of support. But just when I thought things couldn't escalate further, my parents found a way. Last weekend, we were touring potential wedding venues when I heard my mother's voice echoing down the hall. They had found us. Later, I learned my cousin Lauren had unknowingly mentioned our venue tour schedule in the family group chat. My parents, Alex and Sophia, had come together like some kind of intervention squad. My mother marched straight to the venue coordinator and started dictating her vision for the wedding, completely ignoring Stephanie and me. When I told them, firmly and clearly, that they were not invited and needed to leave, my mother burst into tears, in front of the venue staff and other couples. Then came the real spectacle. Alex, ever the responsible older brother, tried to pull me aside for a family discussion. When I refused, he muttered, "This is what happens when you let the middle child make important decisions." Sophia, of course, was recording the entire thing, probably for a dramatic social media post later. The venue coordinator, bless her, saw exactly what was happening and swiftly called security to escort them out. But not before my mother threw one last dagger. "I will never forgive this betrayal. You're breaking your father's heart all over again." It wasn't a spontaneous visit. It was a planned ambush. They had gone to our other two potential venues earlier that week, telling the staff they were the decision makers. They even tried to put down deposits to claim the dates. Stephanie was shaken. Her family was furious. Her normally polite father immediately called mine and told him, in no uncertain terms, that their behavior was unacceptable. My father's response? "You're stealing my son away from me." That was the moment we knew we had to drastically rethink our wedding plans. We scrapped all our previous venue options and hired a wedding planner who specializes in handling difficult family dynamics. She implemented tight security measures and an extremely selective guest list. But amidst the chaos, one thing became crystal clear. Stephanie and I were stronger than ever. This wasn't just about a wedding. It was about our future. The wedding, and the final goodbye. 3 months later we had the wedding. We found a breathtaking private estate 3 states away with round-the-clock security. Our guest list was tight, only our closest friends and chosen family. Stephanie looked stunning. The morning was peaceful. For the first time, it felt like this day was truly ours. Until my mother showed up. Just as the officiant was about to begin, the doors burst open. My mother stormed down the aisle, my father trailing behind her like a reluctant shadow. But instead of the classic, "I object" moment, she launched into an entire monologue about how ungrateful I was. She handed out printed family portraits to our stunned guests, some bizarre attempt at guilt-tripping me. And then she turned to Stephanie, looked her straight in the eye, and said, "Good luck with this one. He's been bitter his entire life." That was it. That was the final straw. I stepped forward, my voice calm but firm. "This is not about you. It never was. This is about your inability to love your children equally. Today is not about the past, it's about my future. And you are not part of it." Security moved to escort them out, but she wasn't done. She turned to the guests and started airing out personal family details, desperate to humiliate me one last time. That's when Stephanie's father stepped in. He stood between us and my parents, his voice calm but full of authority. "You've made your point. Now leave my children alone." Children. In that moment I realized something. I had found what I had always been searching for. A family that chose me. A family that loved me. After they were finally removed, something unexpected happened. Other guests, distant cousins, extended relatives, spoke up. For the first time, they openly acknowledged what they had seen over the years. The blatant favoritism, the constant dismissal of my achievements, the emotional manipulation. Later, my cousin's wife, a family therapist, quietly told me, "Your mother exhibits classic traits of a narcissistic family dynamic. You were never the problem." The ceremony continued and it was beautiful. At the reception, Stephanie's brother gave a speech that solidified everything for me. Family isn't just about DNA. It's about the people who celebrate your successes and stand by you in your lowest moments. That night I felt something I had never felt before. Freedom. The aftermath, and a new beginning. The next morning my father called me. For the first time in his life he admitted to the favoritism. But not in the way I had hoped. "We only focused on Alex and Sophia more because you were so capable on your own. You have to understand, it was easier that way." Easier. That one word made everything clear. They hadn't neglected me because they didn't realize what they were doing. They neglected me because it was convenient. And with that I was done. Done trying to make them see me. Done hoping for change that would never come. Done fighting for something they were never willing to give. I changed my phone number. Our new home address is unlisted. I took a promotion that will move us across the country to the West Coast. Stephanie's company has an office there, and her family has already made plans to visit. Meanwhile, my medical device project is saving lives. Last week, we received a report confirming that our technology has prevented over 200 potential cardiac incidents. And Alex? He still works at the same hospital that rejected our device in the first place. The irony isn't lost on me. To those of you who have followed my story, thank you. Your support gave me the strength to finally stand up for myself. And to anyone dealing with a toxic family, please hear me. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be valued. Sometimes, the family you choose is more important than the one you were born into. This will be my last update because, frankly, there's nothing left to say. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not hurt. I'm just done. My life, my real life, starts now. And it's never felt better.